welcome to a very special NCAA Lacrosse Championship episode of Get the Lax Scoop.
Absolutely.
Jeff, are there any guests today?
None.
No.
We don't need any.
No. We have plenty to talk about, Jay.
Why is that?
We're coming to you on the precipice of the NCAA Lacrosse tournament. In fact, 2 play-in games have already taken place, Jay. We're already into playoff action.
It's incredible. So exciting. Okay.
On to the next.
On to the next. And what we have here, let me check my notes.
Jay, I believe we're moving on to the Princeton Tigers, the number 3 seed, against. Also, this is a Tiger-Tiger matchup, Steve. This might be very interesting for you.
Yes, I noticed. It's actually, I looked this up, Ron. The Princeton mascot is the Tiger, and the Towson mascot is Doc the Tiger.
Let's save that for
later. Doc the Tiger is fighting the Tiger. I
as
said
exciting
the Tiger
as that is.
route.
Ooh, that's a little teaser for the rest of
any Tiger who's nicknamed Doc.
Jay, it's okay if we don't go in order, Jay. It's okay if we just.
Well, how about the coaches?
Have it be a little more conversational, Jay, while you're flipping around through your notes.
Oh, the Princeton coach's name is Madelon. What's the Towson coach's name? Nadalin.
What?
Sean Nadalin. I'm telling you. Matt Madelon versus Sean Nadalin.
There are no coincidences.
Exactly. Nothing is random. But as Ron said, Princeton is the number 3 ranked team in this tournament, playing the Colonial Athletic League champion Towson Doc Tigers. Yeah, and here's another team. Towson goes 0-4, 1-6, and their winning streak has been 10-0. Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 freaking wins in a row. And they have beaten UMBC, Drexel twice. They beat Fairfield, who was nationally ranked at the time. They beat Hofstra twice. They've got some nifty players. This guy, Mikey, I always pronounce his last name wrong. It's like Weishauer or something like that. But he's got 68 points. Pretty solid. I remember him last year. He was really, really nifty. And but the Tigers are the Tigers. I mean, the Tigers beat Duke. They beat UNC. They beat Penn State. They've got some serious wins. 12 wins, 3 losses. They lost to Maryland, lost to Cornell twice. So, they basically lost to the number 1 and number 2 seed, and that's it. So I hate to say it, but Princeton's looking kind of impressive.
Jay, again.
You just want to say Bernie Bonanno's son plays for Princeton. I know, Ron, that's what you want to come out with. That's great. Peter Bonanno got 20 points. Freshman.
Jay, can I say anything, Jay? May I speak?
Jay? I did the research. I ought to get the credit.
Jay, again, the Brown and Moses Brown connection. Moses Brown's proud graduate, Peter Bonanno. Jay, what I didn't hear out of your research is the Ivy Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, I did not know that.
Peter Bonanno. Yes, Jay. So apparently your research.
Bernie won that?
Your leaves a little something to be desired, Jay.
I don't think Bernie won that.
So, yeah,
of course, I had more points as a freshman. I didn't win it. I got screwed. I took every face-off that year too. So anyway, go ahead, Ron.
It was rigged.
Steve, I'm wondering.
I should have been player of the year as a senior too. That was the biggest screw. I had like a 75% winning percentage in face-offs. Had like 50 points. Then we're like, nah, let's give it to this guy from Penn. Penn had like 1 Ivy win. Screwed, Ron. I don't know how I survived, but it's resiliency, I guess.
Thank God we did tonight's episode so Jay could do that, Steve. That's really the only reason you and I are here.
You're fine talking about yourself in your svelte, speedy days. Everyone would admire.
Jay, mine was a self-deprecating story about being a 7th grade fat goalie and running into a goal. I'm not really sure that what we're doing is the same, but no, you keep telling yourself that. We'll let our listeners decide, Jay. We'll let our listeners decide. Now, Jay, moving back to the game, if we might, I want to say, which I'm not proud of as a Maryland guy, I know absolutely nothing about Towson. Not one thing can I say about them. I haven't seen them play once this year. Again, impressive like Colgate, though, that they're on that kind of run. However, this Princeton team is tough.
They are
As you
tough.
said, I mean, when you're 12-3 and your 3 losses are to the 2 best teams in the tournament, I would also say that, I kind of like their side of the bracket for them. So anyway, I think this is a Princeton win. I think they win big. I think they score a bunch of goals. I think this is like a 15-9 Princeton win.
Ron.
Yeah.
I had 16-8, very close, doubling up for the Tigers. But yeah, they got Coulter McAsee, they got Kabiri, they got all these guys, lots of points, yada, yada, yada. And their defense, they got the number 8 defense, the number 8 offense and number 9 defense. They're pretty balanced, these Tigers. Steve, let's hear it. I can't wait.
All right, this one surprised me a little bit in my research. Where we had Princeton had like 1 Yelp review for 5 stars, so I don't even know if that counts if you only get 1. But the Tiger versus Doc the Tiger. What really surprised me though is I was looking at Princeton's roster. I was expecting a lot of names like Graham Worthington III or something like that.
Wilhelm.
They have
Von Meister.
first names like Bo, Coulter, and McKnight, but nothing Princeton like. So I saw something was lacking, and then I went over to the Towson roster, and I was just wowed with some of the names on that roster. So
let's hear it.
We have Chop Gallagher, CHOP first name. We have Jake Law.
And Chop is a defenseman. I've
Miles
seen a few of their games.
Quant.
Whew.
Drexton Frank. We got
Drexton.
Joel Spagnolo, and spelled JOE''LL.
Yes.
And then, wrapping up is Matthew Wolfington. So with such strong names on the roster, I'm actually going to pick my first upset here, and I'm going to go Towson.
Wow. Hands down. No doubt about it.
And it's going to be a 7-6 barn burner.
Ooh, I like it. Low scoring game. Absolutely. Ron, any commentary on Griselfi's pick here?
I think it's foolish. It's foolishness, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
You never know. I love the
Ron,
reason.
he spells it Joe''LL, Joel.
I have
so smooth. It's incredible.
I have rued the day when Grisalfi's made these kind of idiotic pronouncements, and somehow they always seem to come out right. And
God, I hope Towson wins.
I know. If they win, I'm just gonna.
We haven't had a single upset.
I need to make sure that Marinelli knows that you picked him, because his head will explode.
That would be amazing
if they win. So I think it's a foolish pick, but God knows with this guy. Jay, as we're obviously talking about the tournament, but we're also reflecting on the season. And it's interesting you mentioned Fairfield. I was just thinking about, they were the darlings of the lacrosse world.
I know. Holy cow.
And they still ended the season 12-3.
Right.
But
then Sacred Heart was sneaking in there because they beat Fairfield and they were ranked. They were ranked like 17th or something. And then they lost in their tournament. They got yanked. So yeah, it was a little rug pull on both those teams.
Yeah.
Pump and dump.
So I think, Jay, we're moving on to, I actually think the next 2 games are really, really intriguing games. I know we're gonna go next to the number 6 seed. We're moving down the bracket, Syracuse against Harvard. And
just in such NCAA fashion that, Syracuse wins the ACC tournament, and what do they get? Their reward is to play the team you lost to during the regular season in the Harvard Crimson. I feel like that was a screw.
Yeah, no,
that's not random, right? I mean,
no, they're giving CUSA an opportunity to avenge the loss. I mean, clearly they're just doing the Hollywood script.
Right. And then for Harvard, obviously it's kind of a screw. It's like, we already beat them. It's like, play them again. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think, as it turned out, it seemed like Harvard was the last team in the tournament as an at-large.
Yeah. And their win over Syracuse was huge. If they didn't have that, Army would have gotten in instead of them.
So, Jay, I'll tell you, having watched Syracuse live against Virginia and watched them on TV a few times, the way they move the ball offensively, and not surprisingly with Gary Gate, it reminds you of some of the old Syracuse teams. They have that creativity, that swagger on offense, but there's just no selfishness there. They share the ball, make the extra pass, and this to me is one of the most intriguing end of the field matchups. Jerry Byrne, arguably the best defensive coach in the country for a long, long time. It's interesting that you say that Syracuse beat Notre Dame twice, because if there's one defense that I would say could come up with something to handle that Syracuse offense, it would be a Jerry Byrne coach defense. So I think the game will be won at the Harvard defensive end of the field and the Syracuse offensive end of the field. Who has the ball more face-offs? If Syracuse is getting the ball off the ground and winning the face-off battle, I just think it's going to be awfully hard for Syracuse to win that game. But I'm going to be very intrigued to see what happens at that end of the field.
Absolutely. But the funniest thing about these two teams is that Harvard is the team that is like bigger, faster, stronger. They have the athletes. That Syracuse, they have some good athletes, but they're mostly, average size, like myself. They're like all 5'10". Like Joey Spallina is a heck of a player. He's up for the Twarton. Deserves all the credit he gets, but he's not very athletic, and neither is anyone else on their team. But like you said, their sticks are so good. And I think what's hurt them sometimes, they got 5 losses, is that they don't get an edge any other way than if their sticks have to be like 100%. You know what I mean? Like, it's the way they move the ball. They move their ball faster than most people can move their feet. And the margin, though, is so thin. And they shoot incredibly well. If they're not shooting like with pinpoint accuracy, and same thing with their passes, they don't have an advantage because they can't run by anybody. And Sam King for Harvard is really good. And Spidell for Harvard, Long Island guy, is really good. They both have over 60 points. And they actually have more athletes on Harvard. So it'll be really interesting. But I agree with you. If Syracuse is clicking, which they should be, they just won the ACC championship. They actually had lost 3 games in a row before that. But they win the ACC championship. They're at home. They should be fired up, obviously. Things should be clicking. They want to avenge that loss. I'm still not going to say it. Ron, what's your call?
I'm going to let Steve go first here. I'm very interested to see what Steve says on this one.
I want to see what this Yelp. Harvard with their endowment. You think they'd have some Yelp reviews?
I guess, all those easy A's are what edged Harvard out at 4.2 versus 4.1 on the Yelp review. So Harvard has the edge. The meal plans are within a couple $100, so that's a toss-up. Here, Harvard came through with a few names on the roster. We have John Arant IV. So that actually set things right for me on the Ivy League roster. I was very happy with that. They have Andrew Van Stone, which is very strong, and Ray Durth, which was very cool because I figured when he filled out forms that had last name first, he would be Durth Ray. So,
Durth Ray, I love it.
Syracuse actually has the edge on the roster because they have Brett Bucktooth Jr. and a Jimmy McCool. Once you have cool in your name, you win. So
to think there's a Bucktooth Senior.
What's that?
Incredible. To think there's a Bucktooth Senior and Junior. That's incredible.
Yeah, Brett Bucktooth Jr. So with Jimmy McCool on the roster, I'm giving the edge to Syracuse. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game in the 15-14 kind of mode.
I like it. First game was a high-scoring game, no doubt.
So, Jay, just a couple more things here. One, again, bringing it back to the lacrosse powerhouse Moses Brown School in Providence, Rhode Island, coached by one Mike Fraioli. I'd like to point your attention to number 90 on the Syracuse roster, a freshman, Owen O'Farrell.
Ooh,
Moses Brown graduate. So I want to give my man Owen a shout out. But Jay, I think there's 2 difference makers on offense that I've seen have flashes of brilliance, and they're sort of those, prototypical Canadian, Native American kind of offensive finishers. Number 91, Trey Deer. Number 77, Owen Hiltz. I think those 2 players,
he has been lighting it up lately,
can be difference makers for Syracuse on offense. However, I am going to pick my first upset.
Wow.
I am taking Jerry Byrne and the Harvard Crimson.
A friend of the show, by the way.
It's really hard. It's a tough one, Jay, but I can't just go with the favorites
That would be
all the way
incredible.
across.
Right.
I think that the way that Jerry, as you say, they've got some offensive firepower, and I think that defensively Jerry will have a scheme that can give Syracuse some problems. He'll understand some of the things you're talking about.
Mhm.
Maybe force Syracuse to beat you off the dodge, slow to, Jerry's great
Slow
at,
to go.
yeah, well,
Or
and
fake
the
it,
way
fake the
Jerry
slide.
disguises his slides, like,
Yeah.
he'll change it up, he'll hedge, he'll go and then
Crafty.
hedge, and like I think, I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with. I think Jerry's going to beat him on the defensive end of the field, and but to do that, it's going to have to be a low-scoring game. I'm going to go 10-9 Harvard in overtime.
Ooh, Ron, that sounds exciting. But you know what? It's not going to happen. As much as I'd love to see it, I love Jerry.
Jay's like 15-2
you know,
Syracuse.
Right. I'm not crazy about Syracuse, but hey, I think they are going to get it together and get everything clicking and get that dome hopping. And I think it's going to be 14-10 Orange.
Ooh. All right, Jay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see
I'd be happy.
we'll
I'd be
see
happy with either. Hey,
if Jerry gives up
it'll be a
14 goals.
great first round. Super competitive.
Oh, tremendous games, Jay.
We're not done yet, though, Ron.
No, we're not. We have 2 more to go.
Until we meet again, here's to hoping you find the twine. We're signing off here at the Get the Lax Scoop. Thanks again so much. We will see you the next time.